the fact that we even put her in like a number 2 spot, and regardless of how big her records are and everything like that, it's kind of what she represents, and it's not necessarily what I would say is a number 2 category of hip hop.
Yeah, this is bad. We got to do better.
We're back for another episode of Wrapped. This month we take on June. Let's get to it.
Let's do it.
All right, so we are back for another episode of Wrapped. Today we take on June 24, and there's not a lot of stuff. You know,
not a lot.
I wouldn't say there's not a lot. There's a couple things that are significant and take up a lot of space, but it's not a large number of things. So
agreed.
Either way, I am K Styles. We're here with Aaron, who's from Forever Finance and is in person today for all of our content. So
that is right.
Good stuff. Disclaimer: we've been partaking in the liquid substances, so this should be an interesting one. You know, we'll see how it goes. So to pop off this one, we'll start off with Kendrick and his victory lap. That seems like he's definitely beating a dead horse.
That is a fact.
But it's the pop out that he did, paid for by Amazon. But it was an epic concert. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, don't live in LA, but I would have flew out there to see that.
100%. If I was able to get tickets to something like that, it would have been well worth flying out there, getting a hotel for a night, and then flying back. 100%. Because that was not just a concert. That was like a moment in cultural history for hip hop on the West Coast that I don't think we've ever seen anything that big happen.
No.
And we probably won't see anything like that for a very long time.
Yeah, I'll be very surprised if anyone else could pull it off. And from the beginning, he's been saying, besides him, he's the only person, besides Snoop, he's the only person that can, pull that off. And I feel like he really made that to be true. He really, really delivered on that.
He represented for sure.
100%. So, yeah. I mean, that was cool. I think I've all heard all of the things about this beef, so I don't think there's much else to talk about in this one, other than that was just an epic performance. I think also it was very fascinating that the internet's full of different things saying that he started the show at a time that was like 6 something or whatever, and then
was it 6:16 in LA?
In LA, it's something like that. Like it was the same time in Houston, and that's where Drake is. And he did the little pause where he was doing the Hotline Bling dance at the in between the. You didn't see that?
I didn't catch the Hotline Bling dance.
Not the little leg one, but where he was like Drake was doing the little pause thing. So remember that part of like on like the 4th time he played the song. He stopped, and when they got to A minor part, he was just so someone was comparing that to like when Drake did his little something from Hotline Bling. We'll try to put it up in the clip.
Plus the way he was dressed, people.
Yeah. So if it is really as deep as it is, as people are finding and unraveling things, Kendrick is by far the biggest hip hop villain that we've ever seen.
Yeah, for sure.
But I love every moment of it because
called out YG. YG was at the show.
He said he get more love in his city than I don't believe that.
Clearly, he does not.
I don't believe that at all. I mean, he had radio personalities in there. Big Boy was there. Like it was
and
just
the amount of artists that came out. Roddy Ricch, Tyler the Creator, the entire Black Hippie Squad, the whole Black Hippie Squad. Dre, Dr. Dre. When was the last time Dre got on a stage and performed anything?
That Super Bowl. That was the last time, bro.
The whole beginning where it was all these unknown artists that were getting shine on such a big platform for the first time.
Yeah.
The only person that I did not see there that I expected to see there, seeing who was coming out, I was expecting maybe Game.
But I didn't see. You know what's funny? I don't feel like the Game is in a space where people want to like actually mess with him.
Yeah, because this is the second snub he had.
Yeah,
he was upset about the Super Bowl thing.
And I think that's probably a bad look because he spoke on it multiple times.
Yeah.
Including speaking on Dre. And one thing that I've always loved about the West Coast is that they are very loyal to their people, right? Like
the South too.
Yeah, it's like I think it's weird coming from New York because we were loyal to certain areas. So like if you're from Brooklyn, you know, you like your Brooklyn artists. Outside of New York, you love all your artists, but like for the most part, everything was very sectionalized inside of New York.
Yeah.
But when it's LA, I mean, maybe it's like that in LA. I mean, from the outside, it looks like that. It could be like, you know, people in LA don't mess with people in Sacramento or whatever. But like when they come together, bro, it's just like I think that's the part we never seen. We never seen New York come together.
Not like that. Not like that. We're always beefing with each other. So
it would be nice to see. But yeah, I do think that it was very epic, and I don't think that I mean, how are we gonna see anything like this anymore? Even this beef in general, like being excited for music dropping like this has not been something I've been able to do in a while.
Unless Drake and Kendrick goes at it again, I can't see who could have a rap beef and get this much attention.
Yeah, I mean,
because the talent pool, as we just discussed on the most recent episode of Not to Cut You Off, it's just the talent pool is dying out for hip hop, and there's not too many people making music in that space that I would want to hear beef from because they can't rap at that level to actually make a beef even interesting or worthwhile. So
yeah, no, I agree.
We're not going to see anything like this for a very long time.
Yeah.
When was the last time, I mean, before this, when was the last time that there was even a hip-hop beef where there were back and forth records that it was even slightly interesting? It was probably Drake and Meek.
I would say what you call it versus everybody. The 6ix9ine.
But there weren't records coming out with that though.
I felt like
he wasn't making any beef records. Yeah,
you're right.
It was just internet nonsense. It was foolishness.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
Pusha Drake.
Yeah.
Meek Drake.
So it's all Drake, but apparently it took Kendrick to Kung Fu Kenny to take him off.
Yep.
I mean, I just don't know. It's gonna be hard to see how he rebounds from this, though. Honestly,
from this one specifically, I feel like he's gonna do what he's been doing. He's just gonna continue to release music, little sub here, little sub there, but I don't think anything miraculous is gonna change.
I hear that, but the problem is like I don't think that he's gonna have the same like appeal anymore, right?
He does
like,
not. He's dropped music since, and none of it has hit for me.
Yeah, and I feel like he completely just lost his spark a little bit, and
he needs to sit down for a bit,
a while, like maybe like 2 years.
Take the rest of the year off.
Yeah, I would say another year.
Start
after that.
Cooking up next year, and maybe come out summer 2025. I think people would be willing to hear from him again a year from now.
Maybe. Anyway, I mean, I said there wasn't much to say about that, and we went on for another 20 minutes. But outside of that, I guess we're gonna go a little political and then be done.
A little political,
just a tad bit. So,
small political titans.
One of the interesting changes that you're seeing amid, like, well, we had the presidential debate, which is another conversation we're gonna have at some point today. But like, we're seeing a lot of like Trump getting a lot of support from black entertainers, and it's interesting to see it happen this time because I feel like the first time Trump was running, the people wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole, and we're just seeing a lot more people jumping out there and supporting him, and it is fascinating because it's the people who are deciding to do it. Like, I don't have all the names, but like the people who have been supporting him are like, I feel like also people who are using this opportunity to kind of bolster their fame or to get their name in the spotlight, because it's like Amber Rose was one of the most notable ones, and I was like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned this a long time ago in one of our group chats that I'm seeing a major shift where there's a lot more black support for Trump than there was previously.
Mm-hmm.
And only now I think people are starting to realize, like, yeah, that is kind of true. a lot of black people, younger black people specifically, are siding with Trump. And I'm hearing the parallel being drawn to the fact that he's now a felon.
That's a ridiculous one.
That is the reason why people are identifying with him. But I don't know. I don't know. As someone who had a completely negative outlook on Trump, still pretty much negative outlook. I'm gonna say the only reason why it has slightly become positive is just because he perseveres, man. And watching that happen kind of makes him a little bit more relatable.
Yeah, I think that is really the key thing. It's not just I hate this narrative that like, oh well, he's a convicted felon, so now black people understand. Like, first of all, I've known nothing about jail, right? I've never been to jail.
Never been there.
Don't plan to go. You
Yep.
know, I know as much as I know, but like that doesn't help me sway my opinion one way or the other. One and two, his experience is not going to be the same as anybody. Notice if the same thing was applied to any other non-rich freaking presidential candidate, they would be going to jail.
Yeah. His fame, his fortune, those are the things that saved him.
And you know, so we're not all playing the same game anymore.
No,
So
of course not.
I don't really want to hear that. But I mean that's a short one. Then the presidential debate. I feel like this is gonna be the chunk of our conversation.
Well, I didn't watch it because there was no way I was going to watch a couple of old guys just sitting up there drooling on themselves, trying to find a proper thought in regards to getting another 4 years in office. I mean, we got one person that is literally a felon.
Yeah.
That's literally the candidate for the Republican Party. And
Yeah, which is
he's
wild.
not looking good overall. Just one of the things I look at when I look at a president is character. And his character is flawed.
The weird thing is that from the conservative party, it's interesting that that's your guy.
Yeah.
Knowing that they go super hard with like, this is, you know, upstanding American, all that jazz, and you just
So much for the
Overlooked.
clean-cut conservative image, right?
it's just odd. It shows you how much of it is politics versus like actual values.
Yeah.
Because if it was values, there was no way you would allow this man to run.
True.
So it's really about the politics. He has the support and the fan base to get them, another term, and that's more important than values. It's just odd. It's like looking at them talk about the conviction, and I'm like, yeah, this dude actually did this, and the way it's a witch hunt, and I'm like, what part of he paid off this person to shut him up is a witch hunt? Like that to me is wild, right? Like, granted, the argument if you're being like to play devil's advocate, if you're saying, well, in other places this would not have gone to court. The same thing could be said about what happened to Hunter Biden. The stuff that he like went through, like if Trump didn't make a big deal about it, that would not probably have been the case at all. Like, I mean,
True.
yes, he would have probably been fined and stuff like that, but like a case, strung out on the world stage and then brought up in a presidential debate would not be a thing.
I agree.
It's like, as much as you're talking about it being a witch hunt, they did. The thing about the two-party system that's killing me is that both people are doing the exact same thing and making it seem like it's different.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I didn't see the debates, but you did. Was there anything relevant that they debated on, that was discussed, that made you say, okay, you know what? I can see that point of view, like anything, or was it just a punching match?
It felt like a little bit more of a punching match. The one thing that irritated me the most was the stupid question about black jobs that this commentator brought up. I mean, CNN, I think they were talking about the lack of, like, the fact that it seems like they're losing support from the Democrat sides from black voters who feel like they're not getting represented.
Right.
And then Biden said something about black jobs, and then Trump said, black and Hispanic jobs. And I'm sitting there like, I don't know what these black jobs are. What are these black jobs that we're talking about? And I feel like it just reminds me.
Are they just talking about black people being employed?
I maybe.
Interesting.
But even then, it still sounds, it's not the right way to phrase that. And maybe I'm being the sensitive, nitpicky person because, but I'm just like, I'm not going to be real. I'm not going to lie to you. I do always feel kind of odd when we hyper focus on the black community when it comes to politics, knowing very well that a lot of the time it's performative.
Right.
It's not like they actually
don't care.
It's not like there's actually an actual drive to make that better for that community. You just know that you need that community to vote, and so we're gonna say stuff. And I'm like, we don't say anything about the Jewish community, the Irish community, the Hispanic community, but we normally talk about
focus on
black
blacks.
and well, I guess Hispanics get lumped.
They
into
lumped
that
us
too.
exactly. We're all one to
And
them.
I'm just like, to me, I don't like. I don't mind the attention if it's being done intentionally and it's being done for some purpose. But a lot of times it's just like a checkbox for them to say, hey, we talked about the black vote. And I can't, to me, that's the one part of that really irritated me, but that's my own personal issues with that. Overall, it was just a punching bag. And apparently, Trump said that abortions are allowed all the way till after birth, and I'm just like,
so when the baby's born, you can still take them out.
And I'm
Interesting.
like, it's weird to see some of the same political playbook be run after so many years. Like I remember in 2004, I think it was, I did a documentary about undocumented immigrants, and it was very similar to the conversations that they were having. The undocumented are coming here and taking their jobs. And that's what Trump said, taking the black jobs and taking the Hispanic jobs. And I'm like, what?
They're doing the jobs no one wants to do.
And on top of that too, why is that those are the jobs? Like I think of our friend group. We have a decent amount of people in tech. We have a lot of people, doing stuff that are not considered these jobs that would be taken away. He also made a comment about, they're taking Social Security. They're going to take away. They're essentially going to take from your Social Security. I'm like, that's not possible. You need a Social Security number to get Social Security.
Yeah,
until these people become resident aliens. What is it called?
Yeah. To become residents.
Yeah, you become
or
an
green
official
card holders.
green card holder. You can't participate in some of that stuff.
Plus, if you have a Social Security number and you're working, you're contributing to Social Security. So can you really take away from something that you contributed to 20, 30, 40 years before? You're just doing what every American has done.
It's just the same story, man. It's the same plain old thing that, unfortunately, I think the allure for Trump at one point was he was a non-politician and, he was going to drain the swamp. It looked like he came back with the swamp water, bro, and filled it right back up. I don't know.
Things are feeling a little swampy.
It's not great. But I mean, I always watch these because you're trying to see where it's going to go. The fact that we're here and it's actually an election year is wild to me.
The one that they have closer to the election, I might check out.
I don't know. So, yeah.
Who's got? Well, I guess that's not something. But
we could talk
based on that debate. If it was only the debate, you had no idea about both of these individuals, and you're like, you know what? It's time for me to pay attention to politics because my vote needs to count. And you sat down on, what was that? Thursday night at 9 p.m. to learn about your presidential candidates. After you were done watching that, who did you walk away saying, you know what? They both suck, but that guy has my vote from these two, specifically based on this debate?
You know what's crazy? I would abstain. I would abstain from voting in this case.
After you, so if you knew nothing about politics, this was your first interaction. Correct. You sat down, you watched this debate, and you're like, this is why I never voted.
Yeah, I don't want to vote for either of these people. And I'll tell you what, the thing that killed me the most about it is that the stuff that was being said is like from the Trump side, he came in with a game plan. He's going to say what he needs to say, and he's not really going to worry about like fact checking and whatever, all of that stuff. And so he said stuff
for him.
He said stuff that I was like, if I was unaware of his previous statements or how he operated, but like, that doesn't sound right. That sounds incorrect.
But no one's going to
But
check that.
most people are not going to check that.
Right.
And then from Biden, a lot of times he just represented like an old man. I don't like. He's an old man. Someone
should be at home rocking his granddaughter.
It was past bedtime. It was super past bedtime.
Oh man, so it was live.
It was live. I think it was live. And,
Wow.
I think he was. A couple times you saw him just like, and I'm like, listen. I'm not trying to make fun of the fact that he's old or anything like that. It's just it's just
as a president, I am. Yeah. Continue.
It's just that it's clear that certain times in this capacity, he was not as sharp as he was, which is understandable because he's an older man.
And Trump was sharper.
And Trump was sharper but incorrect. So I don't know what is better. That's why I was like, I feel like I'd have to abstain because like if you're just looking at like from brass tacks and what appeared to be cognitive ability, you would say Trump. But at the same token, the shit that Trump was saying, I'm like, there's no way you just said that. You're gonna abort an actual born baby? Like that is not how that works.
I saw a clip that came out where they asked Joe Biden something and he just kind of like mumbled towards the end. And then they asked the host, what did you think of, they asked Trump, what did he think about what Biden just said? He was like, I clearly don't understand what he just said there. Because
I have no idea what he just said there, but
he was just mumbling.
I feel like watching Trump was also having a hard time understanding what Biden was saying.
Of course. Guy was slurring his words all over the place.
And the thing about it is, it's weird because I've seen some clips of him afterwards. I think we had it in the group chat. And it was like, he was rallying afterwards. And I think that's the sharp president that you would want, that you saw. But then, honestly, I do feel like this is where politics is clearly just like broken because he would say something, everybody would scream. So it's like they told the team, hey, if he talks for longer than 35 seconds, everyone needs to freaking scream when he says this thing.
Yeah, just to get him to move on.
And also just to, I guess, to break it up, because from a soundbite standpoint, if I say the sun is brightest at the noon and everybody started screaming, I could have said something crazy after that, right? But you don't know. I'm stopping because we're participating with everything that's going on. So I definitely feel there's a bit of like finagling that's happening. So I don't know. There was also a conversation that people started having, like who would replace him if the Democrats decided to go with somebody else. And I'm like, honestly, at this point, it's a little late. That was a conversation a year ago.
It is too late, yeah.
It was a conversation a year ago.
Unless something medically happens to him.
Yeah, but honestly, if something medical happens to him before the election day, they're gonna lose.
The Democratic Party.
Yes, they're gonna lose because it's gonna automatically confirm what everybody's been saying about him.
About him being too old, yeah.
Which is wild because he's not that much older than Trump.
How old is Trump? He's 70. Okay, so he's got 3 years on him.
Yeah, so he's not that much younger.
No, not at all.
But
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm not necessarily super stoked for the next 4 years, either way it goes.
I'm not either. I'm just hoping that whoever is chosen focuses on the economy because we're struggling.
Yeah,
I actually was just listening to a commenter on YouTube. He's a financial guy, he's a lawyer. And he clearly is very interested in American economy. Mm-hmm. And he was mentioning that we are going to be in a huge trouble soon. And it's something I never thought about. When you think of debt, let's just say you were to get a credit card. If you keep adding more and more and more debt to your credit card, what happens? The money you have to pay continuously increases. And now if you have an interest on that, the interest increases because it's based on percentage. So with the national debt where it's at, we've been paying out, from my understanding, billions of dollars a year just to try to keep up with our debt, which we're not doing. But the spending is so out of control now that if we keep spending at the rate we've been spending it at, in 10, 15, 20 years, the American economy will 100% experience a full crash. Nothing like what we saw in 2008, where the housing market crashed. And they're talking about like complete destruction of the American economy, because we're going to keep building this deficit, this debt, and we're going to keep having to pay out of it to it. And eventually we're going to have such little money that we're going to be paying more money into debt than we're going to be paying into the medical system, into the social security system, into infrastructure, into just government employees. All of our money is eventually going to have to go towards debt. And the way that the government is trying to recover from that is taxing the people more. But how much are you going to tax the people before the people can't even survive anymore, because most of their money is going towards taxes?
Yeah.
We just had this proposal where they want to start charging the ultra wealthy up to what, like some ridiculous number I heard, like almost 50%. That's insane. Imagine you being ultra wealthy and half of your money goes towards the government for taxes. Not to say that if you're ultra wealthy, you don't want to contribute to American economy, but 50% of my money being thrown away so that it could be shipped overseas for war and all kinds of things that have nothing to do with the American economy. Yeah. So it's going to be pretty interesting, because whatever president we get in there, if their focus isn't fixing the economy in some way or another, we're headed for a really dark time in the United States.
But what's the timeline on that? I think you said a time range, but I don't remember.
Within 10 to 15 years, things are going to be so bad that it's going to be hard to come back from. It's already hard to come back from now, but the way that we're spending, we're going to be in a really, really bad position.
It is interesting because part of the debate, they talked about Trump and how much he contributed to the deficit.
I hope that it wasn't Biden, because apparently Trump spent more than Obama, but Biden spent more than Trump.
Really?
Yes.
The way that he made it sound, like the way that they talked about it didn't seem like that was the case.
Yeah, Biden has spent more than Trump, and most of the, how can I put this, reckless spending is in the form of us just sending money to other countries. Trump did not do that part. So Biden is really putting us in a really bad position.
Well, time will tell. I
Yeah.
mean, we might be doing this podcast from somewhere in, New Zealand or something. I don't know.
Kazakhstan.
Yeah, we might have to move. But time will tell. Yeah, we could keep going down that list. I think Billboard had released a list of like the top
female rappers.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm not really surprised by it very much.
So,
well, no, I lied. Let's start it from 10.
Okay.
Let's start from 10.
Yeah, let's discuss the top 10. Number 10, Flo Milli.
I don't know enough about Flo Milli to have an opinion, but
I don't know a lot about Flo Milli. I have listened to some music from her. I mean, clearly she's a very attractive woman. But her music doesn't really do it for me like a lot of these other rap artists are. JD, Jermaine Dupri, took a lot of heat in regards to the current direction female hip hop was going in, and he pretty much called them stripper rappers, and everyone took offense to it, and they called him all kinds of names and stuff. But quite frankly,
he's not wrong.
Come on, can we say he's wrong? Every single top female rapper now, their main thing is showing their body and twerking.
Yeah.
No one's talking about their bars. No one.
Well, I mean, I understand where he was coming from, as much heat as that might bring, because you came from the era of the Brat. I think the Brat was one of the most underrated rappers.
Missy.
Well, I mean, him and the Brat were like on the same. They were together, not together like they were dating, but like I think they were in the same camp.
But wasn't he also producing for Missy too?
I think so. Yeah.
And
so I get it. I mean, look at what they had to do in order to.
And Missy was playing with it.
Yes.
She wasn't even like a serious like
correct.
lyrical barred up rapper. She was just playing with it, and she was better than this whole list.
But it's so funny because that time, in order to be, there was always like the one, female artist on that team, and it was interesting to watch because even the ones that did things are very similar, like the Kims, the Foxies, all these people actually were putting together good music. Rather they did themselves or not.
They
Right?
could put together an
They were
album
putting
that you
together
wanted to
music.
listen to.
And I don't get this
Foxy
feeling.
was a part of the Firm.
That's
The
what I'm
Firm
saying.
was a collective of
royalty.
fire rappers.
Yeah.
So
So next, JT.
number 9.
I also don't have much, feelings about it. Same to your point, like, and it just sounds horrible, I guess, but she's an attractive woman, and
Of course, which is what most of them are riding on. And JT has been doing a lot of like smaller shows, trying to build her brand as a solo artist, as opposed to being with the City Girls.
Which I heard that they rekindled, or there was some.
They had a little bit of a spat. I don't know if they came back from it.
I think they did. I think that was trending
on Twitter. They were kind of going back and forth.
But apparently they reconciled and they're in good terms. I don't know what that means for their.
Maybe it's because the diddler is he's
out of the picture.
He's in hot water right now, so he released all his sex slaves. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the next one is Lotto, which I had a lot to say about Lotto before. She's number 8. And I'm not going to say anything else about her.
She can rap. She's got flow. She's got style. She's got a charisma. She's got a good personality. She's for this music, but there's nothing memorable that she's done that I would say, yeah, let me listen to more.
Yeah. Number 7 is Cardi B, which is one of the ones that upset me the most.
Well, why would this upset you?
Because I don't think she should be number 7.
You know why she's down there, right?
Well, she hasn't released a lot of music.
Correct. If it's current hottest female artist right now in terms of rap, and you can't be hot in terms of rap when you're not putting out any music. So I think her position on this list only exists simply because she hasn't been very active. When she's more active, I'm guaranteeing you, she's probably going to come right under Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, I get that. And that makes sense. I just think 7 is such a low number. But I don't know all the rest of the list, so I'll see how I feel after that.
There's no one that is above her on this list that is less active than she is. So it makes sense.
Got you. So Glorilla, number 6.
Yeah.
I could see that. She's making a lot of waves.
She's making some waves for sure. Doing the ratchet thing.
Ice Spice,
another one,
number 5.
I'm only proud of Ice Spice because she represents New York.
Yeah,
and New York has been out of the hip hop conversation for so long.
Yeah,
that I'll just take whatever they could give us.
Yeah,
it's sad that we have to see Ice Spice at number 5 and not someone like Young M.A. who can actually rap.
Yeah,
but not to say that Ice Spice can't rap. She can rap. She can rap. She has cadence. She has flow. She has the personality. She has the star power. She has it all. But I'm looking to see variety from her. She's not doing anything different than what we heard when she first came in the game. So even though I did like what she did with Cash Cobain, that was kind of fire. So
yeah,
I'll give her some time to see what she did. I listened to her mixtape and it wasn't that great, but it was a nice effort for someone who doesn't seem like they have a lot of experience.
Yeah.
So
no. Agreed. Number 4, Doja Cat, which is another one that like I also feel like should not be this low.
4?
Yeah, I think she should be higher.
Can we even consider Doja Cat a rapper though?
That's the hard part about this. It's like she is a rapper.
Like she's more of a pop star that does rap music, that does some rapping.
Yeah, I could argue with that. I just think that if we're talking about it from a visibility and just overall like talent, she should be higher than 4.
Her antics make me have a very difficult time listening to her music. So I don't really. She's made
so you
one
agree
or two.
With the 4? Or you would say lower?
She's like a non-entity to me, almost like Lil Nas X. Like I just don't care.
Got you. Okay. Number 3,
Meg Thee Stallion. I'm gonna give her credit. Being number 3, maybe she deserves that spot, but I'm gonna give her a lot of credit because of how hard she works. She works hard.
She's number 1 in my book.
Number one. She works hard. Why is she number 1?
I just think that what she's able to do.
Hold on. Number 1.
In this category.
We know who's coming up in this list because we've seen it before.
Correct.
You're saying she trumps those people.
I think so.
Wild.
I think so.
You think she raps better than Nicki?
I think Nicki's antics drops her down a point.
Have you heard Nicki Minaj's most recent album?
Yes, and then I also
heard. Have you heard Meg Thee Stallion's most? And you think that
I still drop it down one.
But hold on, I'm talking about just straight music.
No,
rap.
You're saying Nicki Minaj is a icon. She is one of those people.
Forget the icon.
No, but I would say like I want to give her credit because I feel like I spent a lot of time talking down what she is doing, and that's not what the case. For me, I was the biggest Nicki Minaj fan.
Okay,
love Nicki. Nicki could do no wrong, and then Nicki just kept doing wrong. And I was just like, oh, okay.
She's kind of like Kanye. She needs to shut up.
Like, yo, just like, whoa. So that's why when I say I move her from first, it has nothing to do with her ability. Out raps everybody on this list. Without a question.
Okay.
Skill, ability, talent, everyone on this list. Okay. But I don't know if I want her number one.
Okay.
I've gotten flack for this before, so it's not. I think your response does not surprise me.
Her number 3 position, I'm gonna say, yeah, she deserves to be in the top 5 for sure. And it's mainly because of her hard work, her visibility, her star power. She can actually rap. I don't know if I am
We're talking about Meg, right?
Meg, yeah. I don't know if I agree with like the content because it's like I've been there, done that. They all do this stupid stuff. But yeah, as a matter of fact, knowing who number 2 is, she deserves to be one spot up, in my opinion.
At least. Number 2 is Sexy Red. This is probably the biggest upset for me. Not because Sexy Red. Actually, I don't know why Sexy Red is this, other than people have gravitated to the ratchetness.
Plus, on top of that, she's out here. She's doing.
What does that have to do with anything? Sorry, I'm cursing.
What does that have to do with anything? In order to be considered the top anything, you have to put work in, and she's putting the work in.
Okay, I won't fault that.
So that's what I mean when I say she's out here.
I won't fault that, but it's like the blue faces of the worlds and the people who make music. Then you're like, whoa, this doesn't even. You're not on beat. You're not. It's just this weird fringe of just like not commercially acceptable music that's being pushed commercially,
and it's clown show side of it.
It is just odd to me. And then like the thing about Extentacion, I think he had a very interesting place because I think if he didn't have such an adverse opinion about being like a celebrity he would have been a lot bigger, right? And it's weird because his music actually was good. Like I remember
he could rap.
The song where he's like they intentionally mixed it so it wouldn't sound good on radio. And I'm like, that was an intention. So now we have with Sexy Red the flip side of that where their stuff is just so bad, but people love it. And I'm like,
this is the hoodest, ratchetest music you could ever listen to. Did you hear that song where she was on there just most recently with Drake where she did that? Ooh, like, wow. Couldn't someone at least make an attempt to have her try to learn how to harmonize some stuff?
They didn't want to.
That's bad. That's setting the bar so low that it's almost like we're making a joke out of hip hop now.
And that's what it feels like a lot of time. And I think at the core, that's why I feel so strongly about it. Listen, I don't ever want to downplay the work that people are doing because she's doing work, right? Like she's out there.
She is working.
The problem that I have is just like there's the fact that we even put her in like a number 2 spot, and regardless of how big her records are and everything like that, it's kind of what she represents, and it's not necessarily what I would say is a number 2 category of hip hop.
Yeah, this is bad. We got to do better.
I mean, it doesn't sound like people want to. It sounds like this is what the people want.
Yeah, the new generation really is destroying everything that we stood for.
And then to number 1, as I said, I got to give her credit. Honestly,
she belongs there.
Based on the last project alone, definitely worth the spot. The one thing, who did she have beef with recently? Was it Meg?
Meg Thee Stallion.
And I was just like, that diss track was subpar at best.
It was, but that's because she rushed it. She could do better, but she rushed it. But here's my thing.
You are Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, well, you know how it is. We live in a microwave era. You saw what happened when when Kendrick wasn't dropping. Like we live in an era where people want it and they want it now. And because she is who she is, where unlike Kendrick, who's a very calculated individual, Nicki keeps her ear to the street. She's always on social media platforms. She just recently did Kai Cenat's platform. She did that dude who makes the interviews all awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Funny Marco, is
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
So she's definitely a part of what's happening in the social media hemisphere. So her knowing that she had a sub thrown her way, she had to respond, and she had to respond swiftly. And she did that, but it was to her detriment. The track was
Yeah.
not good.
It sounded bad.
Yeah.
It's like you wait. I would have waited and preferred to hear like a better record. It makes you question like how good the other stuff was.
Yeah, but I still do think that she holds that spot, and I don't think they misstepped with that one because none of those other artists, in my opinion, hold a candle to her. The only one who I could say even has a chance is Cardi.
Yeah.
None of those others, but this is mainstream because there are other female artists who rap who can actually out rap Nicki if they chose to. Well, not if they chose to. They just can.
They just
They
can.
just can.
Yeah. But yeah, I said like we talk about Nicki at length now, so I don't want to add much to it.
Yeah.
The one thing I know we had two music releases that we wanted to call out. This is heavy music wrapped apparently, which I haven't heard these, but like Juelz Santana released "Party and Bullshit."
You should check it out. It was a good track. It dropped him and Jadakis, and I thought it was a good nod towards just old school hip hop, and it's really nice to see that as an art form, hip hop has not fully turned its back on artists that were doing this at a peak level. Not to say that Juelz was like the most lyrical rapper or anything, but he was part of Dipset, and they did for New York. They did music that we enjoyed, and it's nice to see 20 years after Dipset really came onto the scene that he's still out here doing music and doing it well, still rapping, still sounding sharp. So, and of course, people said that Jada outdid him on the track, which, come on, you can't compare Jada to Juelz Santana. No. But all in all, good. Just like what LL Cool J just recently did. I'm glad to see that the older artists are stepping in and doing something because some of these newer artists just are not giving me the music I want to hear.
Yeah, it is interesting, and I think it does mark a level of maturity in hip hop because there was a point where, like, even looking at like the 2000s era, where it's like you have the Jay-Z's and of the world, it's like Jay-Z stopped rapping, right? Like, because there was like you just stopped rapping. There's no more music to put out
after 444. He just did features.
That's what I'm saying. And now look like you see Nas had a hell of a run last year.
Last couple of years.
Yeah, so I think we're seeing that people are realizing that there is more appetite for what would have been considered older music, and people are still like your fans are still your fans, and they're still putting the work in. So I think it's a good sign, and it's a good sign that like hip hop is not dead, but it is in a weird, fragmented, commercialized state that we haven't necessarily come to terms with yet.
Yeah.
So, and then I guess last, I find it interesting though because I thought Juelz was on that wave where you're like, yeah, I want you to retire, but it sounds like he came back strong.
Hey, I'll take it, man, because like I said, what I'm hearing is nothing good coming out. So let's go back to some people who we know have served good music at one point. I'm looking forward to LL dropping a project if he does.
Yeah.
Even Will Smith just recently jumped on a track. So,
hey, I'll do it. I'll listen to anything Will Smith has. I'm a biased fan there, but so last two things was Don Toliver Bandits, but you said he released a whole project, right?
Whole album. It was an entire album, and the way that he sequenced it is disc 1, disc 2, disc 3, and disc 4. And I like it. I'm still listening to it, but it's got...
How many tracks?
I believe he did that over... It was less than 21 tracks.
Interesting.
And it was less than an hour long, if I'm not mistaken, too. It was really well paced, really well done. He even has a track on there with Metro Booming and Future. It's a good album. It's a good album. I really do like it. I have to listen to it a bit more, but I've always liked Don Toliver. And yeah, it's a good album. Bandit is just one of them. Water, the one that he did about Kali Uchis, who just gave birth to his first child. That was also a very good track that shows up on that album. All in all, it's a good album. He really, I don't know, he's doing something with a biker theme, but all in all, definitely a good project. So shout out to Don Toliver for keeping music alive, man.
Yeah, wow, that's strong. It's funny that you didn't mention him on your list in our last podcast, like next up type.
Because I don't think I consider Don Toliver to be a rapper.
Oh.
He does some rapping, but for the most part, he sings.
Interesting. Got you. I don't know much about him. So.
He sings, yeah.
And the final topic, which was like, I think probably the more, I think, funny topic of June, which was the TUAH girl, which I didn't really. There was a little bit of outrage that I don't understand.
Outrage.
Yeah, people were like mad. It was like, what difference does it make? Like, this was clearly street interviews that were intended to be sexually suggestive. So like, I just thought it was, it was a funny, just like what you get from drunk people conversation that should not have been anything other than just funny.
Yeah, it was funny. It just created conversation. But I'm telling you right now, if someone actually did that to my my buddy, I'd be upset.
Not
TUAH. Are you kidding me? Bro, that's disrespectful.
Well,
what is this, prison? This is crazy.
What? Anywho, I mean,
that's unacceptable.
Are you assuming that there's mad phlegm?
Ugh.
Okay.
Ugh.
Well, there's the outrage.
That is the outrage, I guess.
I don't know. I just thought it was stupid conversation. I thought it was funny, but
it is stupid conversation. I'm just saying the reality of it is, I hope this doesn't inspire a movement, because that's unacceptable.
Damn, unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
Well, that is all our topics for today. Ironically, even though this was a short one, we almost went like an hour. So this is good stuff.
This goes to show we love what we do.
Yeah, big facts. So shout out to everybody that made it this far. If you haven't already, definitely give us a follow. Let us know if you think we're all off base. If you think Nicki Minaj should have been number 10 instead of number 1. I don't know. You let me know what you think.
Yeah, comment if you believe the TUAH thing should become the norm.
Yeah, that part too. Definitely join the Discord. We have Discord here.
Active
talk about
discussion.
A lot of this stuff. Yeah, and that's been it. Thank you for making it this far. We appreciate you. Peace.